Gats Ed midsole bud here. Today I've got 4 forthcoming running shoe bangers for 2024. There's some awesome looking shoes coming out in 2024. Let's take a look at some of these new models and versions which could provide some excellent options next year. We have what appears to be a maximally stacked, very angular looking New Balance SC Elite V4, a potential ASICS METASPEED SKY 2 perhaps. We've got the NIKE ALPHAFLY 3 which I believe is going to release in January 2024, and a very brief look at an Adidas Takumi Sen 10. So kicking off with that very square looking New Balance shoe, we have the SC Elite V4. Very different looking shoe actually to the last year's edition, I think you'll agree. Got a more squared off midsole feel, certainly in the back of the shoe there. More exposed carbon plate than before, and a very different upper, holding your foot down tightly onto that midsole. I think they've hollowed out more foam as well underfoot. It seems to run even further across into the midfoot now. The upper is by far more traditional than the lacing system used on the SC Elite V3. There was a load of lace loops there, and apparently that made it quite hard to get a decent lockdown in the shoe. New Balance clearly have heard the calls of the runners here. They just found it really hard to get a good fit. I think a lot of people got some heel slip in that shoe. The other major change here is in the outsole, a more patterned rubber in 5 sections of that outsole this time. Underside of the shoe looking very different to the SC Elite V3. It will no doubt perhaps provide a little bit better traction than we had in the previous version. It still won't be as good as the RC Elite version 1. I think it was called like Dynagrip or something, I can't remember now, but there was these amazing like triangular pieces they had on that very first version of that race shoe. Absolutely fantastic. It's not been bettered since. The SC3 was a shoe that I wasn't really all that compelled to test out. Just very few finding it a really top model, so I didn't want to spam out a load of cash with a shoe that was just not really going to provide anybody with anything interesting. Though I'm quietly confident the SC Elite V4 may provide us with a much better option. A bit of a return to form perhaps for that fuel cell material. Moving on, we've got an ASICS METASPEED shoe here. It seems to be a prototype of sorts. We're going to see a new version of Flight Foam Turbo as well in 2024. It says plus here. I don't know what that can mean. Maybe it's very slightly more forgiving or something. Certainly more maximally stacked though than the METASPEED Sky Plus. There certainly seems to be more foam here though, underfoot in the heel and the forefoot. Does it really chunky actually when you compare it up against the existing METASPEED models. The thickness is quite staggering actually. It makes the shoe look considerably taller than the past ones. I assume it's still a 40mm legal stack shoe. I can't see why ASICS would bother with anything else, but I did take a look at the World Athletics shoe compliance list. It shows here there's a whole bunch of ASICS prototype shoes which have either a few months or a whole year really before they might appear to the public. Some of them look set to end their sort of shelf life as a prototype a little bit sooner than others. I think there's one there the end of March 2024 and then September 2024 to be exact. So I reckon that's when we'll see some of these new ASICS shoes appearing. It does look like ASICS are going though full power with a larger foam midsole stack, though I reckon they're going to stick to having 2 versions of their top line shoe. They've got the Sky and the Edge right now, and I think they're going to persist with that sort of policy as we move into 2024. Probably stick with like a 5mm drop and then the 8mm on the other one. Either way, I'm keen to find out just exactly what these ASICS prototype models are. Let's hope some more information comes to the fore about these. One thing I do know about the METASPEED Sky Plus is that it's helped me to some really fast 10k times over the last year. It's right up there in terms of the sort of top performing shoes for me, that's for sure. Will the next one provide some similar epic moments? Who knows? Of course, no 2024 list of running shoes that we're hyped up about would be complete without the ALPHAFLY 3 from Nike. This shoe has yet to land in the hands or on the feet of average everyday runners, though of course we have had access to the V1 and V2, and you know, they're not drastically different to what we're going to get here in the V3. Some people love those shoes for like any distance whatsoever. I've seen people even using them for like easy sort of runs right up through to like marathons and ultra marathons too. This shoe is very much a subtle crafting of the existing idea from the original ALPHAFLY. The soft high energy return foam, You got that carbon plate and then the oversized AirPods in the forefoot. Nike suggests that those AirPods return even more energy than their Zoom X Superfoam. Already a shoe that has now reached epic hype proportions due to it being on the feet of young Kelvin Kiptum, obviously smashing that marathon record very recently in the ALPHAFLY 3. I think anybody that's enjoyed the ALPHAFLY, past versions will want to test this one out to see what all the fuss is about. Will it be like a return to the V1, which I still think is the best version of it so far? It's certainly a more elegant looking shoe than the last two spaceship-like efforts. There's less foam jutting out of the back of the shoe, and a design that's got more curves and soft edges than the angular looks of the V2. Perhaps Nike here are focusing on putting the foam only where it's needed underfoot. Though of course durability with these type of shoes is always a focus, though in fairness the previous versions have never really been that bad in terms of that aspect, which you would hope is the case considering the potential price of this shoe. So I'm keen to see how these feel, really want to get them on foot, test them out. Though in fairness the ALPHAFLY's never really been like a standout performer for me. I think I ran some pretty decent half marathons in the very first version of the shoe, but I've eclipsed those times really wearing the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2 recently, so I think that says a lot. Last shoe on my list of potential bangers for 2024 has got to be the Takumi Sen 10. This is one of those shoes that's really come to the fore the last two editions. I did review the 6 and 7 and the 8. I didn't bother picking up the 9, it just really was so much of a small change from the 8, it didn't really feel like it was worth it. We do seem to have a very big switch up this time, certainly in the outsole department. We have that smooth rubber on the lateral sides of the shoe, also on the medial side of the heel as well. Then a thicker continental spread over the forefoot with the exposed energy rod still there. So it looks like they're not making that many changes again to the Sen. I mean, there's not much you can change really. It's got a simple shoe. I doubt we'll see many changes to the midsole stack here with the 10. It fits in a special place within the Adidas running shoe lineup. You got the Adios that's about 28mm, and the Sen's in there sort of about 33, and then of course you got the Adios Pro like 40mm. I think with Lightstrike Pro being so forgiving, you don't really need much more than 33mm underfoot. It's easy enough to facilitate a half marathon for pretty much anyone. I think only the surest footed runners would actually go a full marathon with one of these. Sen's always been a quicker shoe for me, higher pace running and training, though I think if they get the price right this time with the Takumi Sen 10, it could be a real standout shoe. The 8 and the 9 were just a little bit too close together, and I think that's probably put some people off picking up the 9. They're actually very durable shoes, these ones from Adidas. There's lots of pairs of them hanging around on discount at the moment, and it's kind of sad to see really. It's clearly a durable one, but with the discounted price of the Adios Pro 3, sometimes cheaper than a brand new Takumi Sen 9, you can see why people are picking up the super shoe rather than the lower stack one. But I'm really excited to try out the Takumi Sen 10. Bit more of an overhaul here, certainly in the outsole department. Ran some good times in the Sen 8, so be keen to pick up this new version of the shoe when it finally drops, probably in 2024. So that's my 4 potential running shoe bangers for 2024. Let me know which shoes you're looking forward to picking up in the new year. Musical interlude time. Can't believe this album was released 20 years ago. We have The Wolf from Andrew WK. This felt like a bit of an advance forward from his previous album I Get Wet. A slightly more refined sound this time, not so many layers here and there. I really love the piano driven Never Let Down. There's a wonderful sort of motif there, really nice intention to the song, with lyrics like "you're doing alright, you're doing okay, just follow your heart and don't run away." What fantastic stuff. It's inspiring, And then you've got another power ballad later on called Really in Love, sort of raw, emotional sort of stuff, really enjoyable. Sort of ends the album with a track called I Love Music. Very clearly he's inspired by creating and making very energetic, sort of positive sort of music. Sadly, after that, he had some contractual issues, I think, and he disappeared off the scene for a little while. But it's been good to see him back over the last couple of years producing some fantastic albums, like real return to form. Kind of feels like he sort of eliminated that period where he wasn't really making much music. He's just sort of followed on really from The Wolf, which is great to hear. Go and check this one out, people. The Wolf by Andrew WK. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you